Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. And today is Wednesday, so we typically are going to look at entertainment and look at our Instagram and check out guns in media and that kind of thing. So we have a round panel discussion. We have people joining us from gunchannels.com. We simulcast the show over on gunchannels.com. It's a community we built. Going on 6 years now. It's a place for people to hang out, who create content, people that enjoy content created by individuals with the Second Amendment activist kind of focus. And we're also simulcasting on the Instagram tonight. So we've got a bunch of people saying hello and waving, I guess, on Instagram. So we're going to be talking about good idea, bad idea tonight. So anybody that's got topics for good idea, bad idea discussions, throw them out there. All of our things like this are efforts in new media. In other words, we have these communication platforms that all offer communication back and forth. You're part of this conversation, so participate, be part of it. So it's a panel discussion. People jumping in from gun channels. We have a couple people jumping in from all over the country. We got the noisiest one is Sarge from North Carolina. Thanks for joining me every day.
Hey, I appreciate the invite. I didn't get to watch everything that took place today, but I've been monitoring it, and I'm excited. I appreciate the invite.
No worries. I would work into your hammer throwing schedule or whatever you're doing over there. And then we got Midnight joining us from Pennsylvania. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, G.
Yep. And then Gary is in Kansas. He looks like a rectangle. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for the invite.
You bet. And then we got another rectangular state resident, Cycle Camp, jumping in from Connecticut. Thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for the invite. I'm glad to see everybody.
Yep. And I guess my state kind of looks like a rectangle as well if it fell over, like if the U.S. Post Office delivered it. So I'm down here in Arizona. So we have links out to other people, and some of them are over there chatting on gun channels, or I mean on YouTube, not paying attention to gun channels. Gun channels has a bunch of people chatting, and we'll send out links. So what now were we just talking about off air? Sarge has passed the threshold for what, I guess, partner status. What do they call it now over here on YouTube?
Yeah, I was just complaining about if anybody had any contact with YouTube, because I hit all my numbers to be monetized 6 months ago and still haven't been reviewed. I was just complaining.
I'm wondering, from the people that remember back in the olden days, how long did it take us to become partners back in the olden days, like 9 and 10? So I thought there was some sort of time frame back then. I mean, obviously it has nothing to do with now. It's a long time ago, 10 years ago. But you think it's because they got so many people on the platform that are hitting that threshold every day? It's literally just that backlog? Or is it just like there must be one person doing it or something? There's no other way to explain it.
I don't know. I know they're almost impossible to reach, other than I finally found out you can get a little satisfaction if you contact them through Twitter. You can get some response, but I was a partner before this, and I was monetized before they put in that criteria in February 2018. It was like 4,000 view hours and 1,000 subs. So then I was unmonetized because I didn't have those numbers, but I hit those numbers on August 23rd, and that was 6 months ago, and they haven't had time to review, and I'm doing air quotes, they haven't had time to review my account to see if it meets the criteria, which I'm sure it will. Well, I think it will. That answer is not satisfactory to me, that they can't get it done in 6 months. So I don't know what the issue is.
Thing is, if they want to give you a channel strike, it won't take them 6 months.
Oh yeah, they'll give that out right away.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to throw out a request here for good idea, bad idea topics again, and then we can debate some of that stuff. Does anybody know where good idea, bad idea came from? Was anybody listening to the show back in the olden days?
Isn't that when you and Bob used to throw a knife in the middle of the room and fight?
Yep, exactly. There was consequences to good idea, bad idea back in the day, and there was a lot of bleeding, a lot of bleeding. A lot of dead air.
You had a good idea, a bad idea come in from Pants earlier about ankle carry.
I'm scrolling up because who said scroll up, Pants? Okay, so 45 ACP, good idea, great idea. That's pretty good.
45 APC is a great idea.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with 45 ACP. What's the criteria for this again?
Good idea, bad idea? Just topics that might be worth talking about. Originally, they started out with Bob has this crazy idea that you can take out a grizzly bear with a 22. And I don't believe you can do that.
Yeah.
How much time you got?
And he also believes that you can't take out a monkey. And I believe that I can take out a monkey unless the monkey has a knife. But I'm not afraid to fight a monkey. And Bob's convinced that a monkey's going to rip your face off, and there's no chance of fighting a monkey or gorilla, I guess. And that's where it all started from, I think. I don't even remember. It was a long time ago. It was something like 700 episodes ago. But yeah, we used to, you know how when you see the old videos from like back in the days, the gangs would solve problems by tying their hands together, and then they would grab a knife in their other hand, and they'd knife fight with their hands tied together. That's how the Empire started this whole thing. So we won't have to get into it that bad because I don't have that kind of insurance anymore. We used to have the Canadian insurance. I could stab Bob a bunch of times. There was no consequence because they would just fix him.
All right, then. So, yeah, I mean, that's two of us. 45 APC is a great idea.
I got no problem with 45. I don't own one, but I really do want to get one. I like 45. I've shot it a bunch. You know, a lot of people know I'm drooling for a 1911. I don't own one.
I don't see anything wrong with it at all. And it's not 9mm, so it really ought to be right up G-Web's alley. So
I carry 45, yeah, so I don't have a problem with it.
I'm pro 45 for the shooting and the performance. I'm anti 45 when I have to go buy it because it costs too much. But I like it.
Super cheap to reload, though, if you reload.
I've got to get into that.
So, you know, it's easy to reload because it's a big bullet. You know, it's big. You don't need a ton of powder. It's not anything that needs to have a ton of powder behind it. And it's really easy to find components, you know.
So now Muscle is saying, or Dog is saying behind the back carry. Was that an option? Was that a suggestion for a good idea, bad idea?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of them, just like with Pants' idea about, you know, whether or not ankle carry is a good idea or a bad idea. Personally, I think behind the back is a bad idea, but I think ankle carry is a good idea.
I don't know. I've always thought it's a long way to go for that gun if you're ankle carrying, especially if you got a spare tire in the way like some of us do.
But behind the back, I think, is a little odd because you have to hold your hand. Your hand goes back in a different manner. Unlike if it's back, your palm is to the body. If you're going behind the back, your palm is away from the body, and it's a little weird angle.
There's no good for behind the back. There's I don't know of any reasonable good reason for behind the back. Does anybody know of a reason for behind the back?
Yeah, I can reach behind my back, but I can't reach my ankle.
There you go.
now, ankle carry, is that good for every situation? I don't think so at all. Is it good for a backup? Yes. And maybe, hey, maybe you're going to a formal occasion where you can't really get one in your belt line or something like that, even inside the waistband. Hey, then it's better than nothing. That's just my thoughts on ankle carry.
I've always thought ankle carry is good for places where you might be seated. Like if you're going to a movie theater or something, sometimes those, especially like Cycle said, some of us larger guys, if you're sitting down and something would happen, it's pretty easy to discreetly get to your ankle then versus.
I don't think so. Try that next time you're in a movie theater.
Well, I mean,
try reaching down and touch your shoelaces and see what happens to you.
Well, I'm a bigger guy, and
Like
when I go to
get down there and have dexterity, right? You got to be able to reach down long enough to be able to pull your pant leg and unholster, and get a grip. So that's more than just touching your toe, right? So Cycle is correct, but I mean, it could be just as bad when you're setting all of that weight on a holster, which is pinning it to the seat.
Well, the other issue with ankle carry is jeans. I don't have enough room in between my jeans and my leg to carry a gun.
Okay. Like when I go to, because like you talk about places when you sit, usually if I go to weddings and stuff, and if I'm not with a particular gun crowd, I'll switch over to under the arm carry and carry the backup in my ankle. So I wouldn't use ankle as my main carry, but I think as a backup, it's fine.
Yeah, with jeans, I think it'd be a bad idea. It's got to be something like slacks or like True Spec, something like that, where you got a little room. But jeans, no, ankle would be bad at that point.
Now, I had a shoulder holster for a while, but I didn't have a good one, so I can't say that I have a great comment on shoulder carry. And I liked it and I didn't like it, but I think I would have liked it more had I had a good holster, something that carried it a little tighter, tighter to the body.
But then wouldn't you need a jacket?
Yeah.
And if you had a jacket, not necessarily. I mean, jacket pocket.
Well, I mean, or like a shirt that's like a button down. You could wear that over top of it if it's, I did that a couple times.
That's where I used to wear mine a lot of times when I did security work. I had a button down shirt that I could easily pull open to get to my gun.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's where the reason I didn't like it is because it wasn't my holster wasn't really adjustable to the degree that it would really keep it from flopping around. So I always felt awkward. It always felt a little bit weird. Mine was a cheap one, like I said, but I could see if you get a good one, like there's some really nice leather ones out there that really keep it controlled. I could see wearing a loose button down over top of that and having it half buttoned and be able to get to it pretty good.
So in my experience, I find the best shoulder carry holsters are going to be ones that have the strap that goes across your back and across your chest to help hold that gun exactly in place, and then it's not going to move at all. And it also distributes the weight nicely. So if you get one of those ones where it's just the two loops that go over your shoulders and has the one little strap that goes over the back of your neck, those are always pretty uncomfortable. But if you get a nice one, maybe one even made out of like suede or leather, where it has the extra strappings, they can be very comfortable to wear under a shirt.
See, I had a hard time because I'm pretty tall. It had the straps, but the straps were like barely long enough. You know what I mean? So it was a little bit weird. It was kind of tight.
Yeah.
I sent you a link in the comments. In all seriousness, I looked at this holster pretty heavy out at Vegas, and it's meant, he said it would fit anybody from a small to like a 4X. He said it moves and shifts with you, and it really did look pretty good. Not just a sales pitch, but check that one out. That Alien Gear shapeshifter. You never know, they might let you do a review on it.
It's from Alien Gear?
Yeah.
Cool.
In all seriousness, it did look pretty cool.
That one actually does look pretty nice, yeah. It's got a lot of adjustability to it. That's pretty nice.
And some of the stuff stretches just so you can move. I've thought about shoulder holster carry for winter, like when you're wearing a jacket or because I usually wear a sweatshirt, but like a jacket or a sweatshirt or something like that, that would kind of open up extra other options in wintertime.
Yeah, I don't know that I would do it over how I'm carrying now. I'm open outside the waistband or sometimes inside the waistband, but I've been carrying outside the waistband most times now. It's super comfortable. It's so much nicer than having it digging into your side and stuff like that. And I just it's been a progression because to go from not carrying to carrying very like timidly, and then inside the waistband and now outside the waistband, and kind of convincing myself that what, if somebody sees it, they see it. I'm legal. I'm not ashamed of it. It's been a little road, but I think it's been interesting. I like it. It's so much more comfortable. If you've never carried outside, it's awesome.
Has anybody come close to noticing?
No, I doubt it.
Exactly.
Yeah. You just got to keep telling yourself that.
Obvious.
Yeah, just keep telling yourself that the one person that might see it, it's not worth worrying about.
All right, so this is supposed to be good idea, bad idea, and it turned into fat guys telling you about how they strap things to themselves with leather and mostly 9mm things. So you get what you pay for. No one's been asking any real questions other than what 3 we got. So we've been nursing that one. I sent out a link and a couple more links in email for people that might want to join in. Seven Wonders has nothing to do with good idea, bad idea, but he says he's about to do a video on his mini Berettas within the next couple of days. So I'm switching topics to mini Berettas. And we're talking the tiny Berettas. Everybody knows what we're talking about. I'm assuming yes, because we're all gun people here.
Like the little they're like the little, not Bobcat. Bobcat?
Jinx, Bobcat, small, tiny ones. So would you own one? Yes or no? Cycle.
No.
Gizzard.
Yeah, I own the Taurus PT-22 with the tip-up barrel. That's a copy of one. So.
Midnight.
Yeah, but it would be pretty far down on my list.
Dog.
For the right price, I'm game.
Sarge.
I don't have a mini Beretta, but I do have the PT-22 like Gary, and I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah, my grandpa had when I was a little kid, so I had all three. Well, I had 3 of the 22 short. I think those are Minxes. And I had an Italian one, I had a South American one, and I had a USA one. I sold them all for keeping things online, but they're certainly real neat guns, and they're only Berettas I like. Only Berettas I would own. What do you guys who don't want them? Why? We got to get some
caliber.
Yeah, I don't think like I said, for me, it's not that I would want damn near one of anything if I had the chance, but it's pretty far down on the list after quite a few other things to buy little plinkers like that,
No, I don't know because I own 3 of them. I thought they were high on the list. I thought they were awesome. They're also ultimately well made. I mean, I understand why people like Berettas because they're Italian. They're not quite German, but they're more than a practical gun. They've got moving parts and they're well made. They take pride in them and everything, and the tiny ones are even better. That's why I'm surprised that Cycle wasn't more interested, because they are a neat kind of concept with the flip up barrel. You don't really they're easy to manipulate, I guess, for being a tiny little gun, and they're certainly neat with the little hammer and everything, the little single actions.
They're good for people that don't have a lot of hand strength and have a hard time racking a gun.
Right.
But I don't find myself in either of those categories right now. So.
Right, but have you fiddled with one? I mean, they're just neat to play with because they're just little tiny, intricate little machines. They're neat. Anyway, I'm not going to try some gun when they're Berettas. I don't care if you buy one or not. So, anyways, I think you should do a video on them. People liked mine when I did them. Especially if you can put one in the palm of your hand. They always look good in a thumbnail because they're so small. Any other tiny guns that you'd consider over that one or instead of?
Not necessarily over it, but my wife wants one of those micro Kimbers, so I'm probably gonna have to buy one of those.
I can't advise against that enough. I mean, they're certainly neat looking, but I would never. I mean, could do a lot more research. I don't think I've heard a good review on them yet.
I absolutely hate everything about Kimber. That's why the wife wants one. So she wants it, she'll get it, but not my choice.
Yeah, they don't want them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, they're not good for defense. They don't work. Go ahead, Sarge.
Oh, I was going to say, I want the PT-25 to go with the PT-22, but basically because I want a small 25 to own one that's not butt ugly. That's my problem. I would like to find a small 25 ACP that's not ugly. Are there any other ones that anyone would suggest?
Yeah, Browning, 1903. Done. That's the gun he built to wrap around his cartridge when he invented it.
All right, Browning. I'm looking up. Damn.
So that's the original. That was the gun that was invented for that cartridge. So it is made by Browning for that cartridge. It was wrapped around that cartridge. And then the Bauer is a stainless steel version of it. It looks pretty sweet.
Well, that doesn't look bad at all.
Then check out a Bauer. And those are, you can find a Bauer every once in a while for like 300-ish.
Oh, okay. Now every 1903 I'm finding is in 32. Let me see if I can find a 25.
It was made in 1903, but it's called a baby Browning or a vest pocket Browning.
Yeah, no, that's not bad at all. I just want one. I don't know why I do. I just do.
Because they're awesome. Millions of them have been made. You're not alone.
Everyone gives 25 a bad rap, but I would think apples versus apples out of the same style platform, it would outperform a 22 all day long.
Oh, yeah. No rim lock and center fire all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not that familiar with that caliber. How is getting ammo for it?
I don't. Well, I mean, it's a center fire cartridge. I don't think it's
not the word. It's not everywhere. It's not at every hardware store, but it's at every gun shop probably. Every gun shop has more than a couple of rounds of ammo. Yeah, it's not free.
See, speaking of small guns, that's what bothers me about buying 380 ammo, is that 380 ammo costs almost twice as much as 9mm now, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't cost twice as much, but it does, and that kind of bothers me. So I don't know how much 25 ACP costs.
Well, you don't get it for the cost.
Let me see.
Still not getting any questions anywhere. So,
yeah, I think that's really volume. I think they just sell so many more 9mm at 380s, or
Oh yeah, definitely.
They just kind of line up with 380s.
It was all I talked about. They have to retool and everything because they use the same press, right? So they just have to. It requires them going in and screwing with everything to make 380. So they'll do it in batches or runs or whatever. I'm sure. You guys are the ones to ask. I was at the range on Monday. Someone traded in a Colt. Dealer called it a Best Pocket Colt. It has 3 dates on it, ranging from 1903 to 1910. Wanted $350. Well, that's about the range you'd expect, but that's the one I'm telling Sarge about. That's the gun that Browning created in 1903 for the 25 ACP, which he created in 1903. And then nobody wanted it here, I think, or whatever. He was down with FN, so they started making it. And then Colt made it also later once Colt figured out it was going to sell. And what's the deal? The European one has no safety, and the stupid US one, the Colt, has a safety on it.
I had a chance to buy a Colt 25, and I'm not going to say I knew the model. I'm going to think it was similar to that model, but it was in the box, cardboard box, and everything. But when it was at my buddy's gun shop, they said it was like, did Colt make some guns in Brazil? Did they have some made in Brazil at some point?
I mean, Colt is Colt, so maybe.
Whatever it was, the backstory is that it wasn't. It was someone else made it for Colt, so it wouldn't have the collectability that a true Colt would have. I didn't know. It was enough to shy me away from buying it. Probably still should have bought it. It was $300 in the box, for a 40, 50-year-old gun that was in good condition. I probably still should have got it, but when he said it wasn't, I guess, a quote-unquote true Colt, I kind of like, I'll pass. But I don't know which one that was.
So we got a question from AFolk84 about FMJs for defense and SHFT situations. Good idea, bad idea?
What is it? It's about
full metal jackets. He's asking about
defense?
For defense, and yeah.
That's a horrible idea.
So I think for like standard carry defense, I think it's a horrible idea. But as regards to the second part of your question about stockpiling it, definitely.
Oh yeah, definitely stockpile it.
Because for the SHFT situation, it doesn't matter if it's full metal jacket or not. You just want to have ammo.
Yep. So that was.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Where's that question at? I don't even see that question.
That was higher up in the thing. I had to scroll up to find it.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
We're not getting any more questions. So we'll move on. So what's today? England's 1997 handgun ban. It's also the day that the Browning BAR was demonstrated for the Army, I guess. And just about, I think I got a picture of World War II, 1911. So what do you think about this handgun ban in 1997 in England? No big deal. Just another infringement.
I think it was terrible. When I went to concealed carry class, I went with a guy from England, and he told me how it happened. And that's why it's one of the reasons why he ended up settling here in America. It was for gun rights. And he is categorically opposed to any type of gun registry, anything like that, because that is how they got everyone over there. When they changed the law, they knew what everybody had, and everybody had to turn it in. And if it was, he said it was bad. He said, fight it tooth and nail here. This gentleman I was talking with, he said it took place over the course of just a couple months. They had always been very, very restrictive. I mean, very restrictive, but they could have guns. To being, the handguns were gone within just a few months.
Yeah, I mean, any kind of ban on weaponry in general, I'm against. So, yeah, there's no good that comes from it.
And that's where the registry would come back and bite everybody in the butt, if there was one. Is once a ban went into place, everyone they know what people have, and that's the last thing we need.
When they did the ban in '97, does anybody have any numbers on how many handguns they thought they had that in the country? I don't know anything about their number of guns they had.
I know he said he had 5, and he said that took a while to get to 5 because you can only buy one every so often, and they only paid them what the stock value was, and all of his were worked and custom shopped and kind of tricked out. I mean, I'm sure they weren't race guns or anything like that, but they were not stock guns. And he said they only gave him the minimal value for it. Like I said, he had 5, but I don't know how many ended up getting turned in. I don't know. He'd be an interesting guest. I can get a hold of this guy. He's well spoken and has some good insight into it, and he's very pro-America, pro-gun.
And in '97 in England, how many guns did they have when they decided to declare them illegal and round them up? How many guns did they have to round up? Does anybody know? Or have any idea?
I have no idea. Let me see if I can find it.
That's what I was just doing too. I was looking to see if I could find something.
I'm trying to Google it.
While we're doing this, go over to Indiegogo and get yourself a patch.
I should probably throw the link in there.
I just did it about a half an hour ago. I got mine.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm excited, man. That's a hell of a deal. $50 for 12 patches.
And it creates 1,200 patches.
Right. Yeah.
For those organizations. Oh, that's a lot of dead air. So we're going to jump over here and look at something about 25 ACP because nobody's saying anything. Today we are going to talk about guns, specifically pistols, and more specifically inexpensive pocket pistols made in the Los Angeles area. There's a lot to learn about these highly politicized handguns. Many millions were made, and they often show up as the villains in mass media coverage of firearms or crime. Since they are simple designs, crudely made, and offer few extras other firearms offer, many shooters shy away from these as they do not hold up well to heavy range or recreational use. So not surprisingly, while researching, it was difficult to find much open-minded coverage or discussion about these firearms. We will look at some of the relationships between the firearms, the people that build them, their companies, and other factors that make up this complicated and interesting facet of United States firearms history. As a disclaimer, all of our research was done online in an honest attempt to better understand firearms history here in the U.S. It's not an attempt to offer legal advice. We offer this strictly for educational and entertainment purposes. We need to begin where much firearms research begins, with the great John Moses Browning. Of course, entire books have been written about him, and we'll still need many more to cover all the inventions and ideas he left us with. The few that we'll concentrate on here will be the 25 ACP cartridge and his vest pocket pistols. At the turn of the last century, Browning decided it was time for the 25 auto, and so it became. In 1905, he invented the cartridge and the pistol to go along with it, the FN Model 1906. And soon after, the U.S. version, the Colt Model 1908. These very popular pocket pistols have a history of their own, as they are each over 100 years old. These were invented to meet a demand, and they did so successfully for over a century, and many other small pistols followed. This is where our story begins, but now we'll stop and take a look in another direction towards United States firearms law. In 1968, the Gun Control Act was passed. It became the third largest. Okay, well, that's the part about 25 ACP I wanted to share. So, where 25 ACP came from.
I've got an answer for midnight.
Go ahead.
From a BBC homepage, it says that in March of 1996, there was, here's the best I can find, there was 23,000 firearms and 700,000 rounds of ammunition surrendered, which that averages, I just added it up, that averages 30 rounds per firearm. And said this was considerably less than the 48,000 weapons surrendered after the Hungerford killings 9 years before. So 9 years before, a bunch of people turned in 48,000. In 96, they turned in 23,000. And that's the.
Well, they were obviously getting smarter.
60,000 guns in England, where they fought 2 world wars.
I mean, that sounds like how many guns there should have been, like in one suburb.
And a couple of collectors. Well,
I was looking up.
They have to have a safe that's like concreted into an exterior wall. It has to be a structural wall. They still have and had very, very strict restrictions on how to secure them. They're even prior to that.
So today they were talking about England and stuff, comparing us to England and how few crimes they have, gun crimes or whatever, murders. And it's Wikipedia, so take it for what it's worth. But it said during the '97 ban, the heading under effect on gun crime said the number of recorded firearms offenses in the United Kingdom increased significantly after the law entered force, excluding offenses with air weapons. firearms offenses peaked at 11,088 in 2005, compared to only 4,900 in 1997. So it almost tripled. The number of offenses involving firearms subsequently declined, but the 6,500 offenses recorded in the year ending March 2018, so up to last year, it's still greater than 97. So they had 4,900 in 97. They had 6,500 last year. So all those years with a ban, and they still have more people of firearms offenses.
And their
What
assault.
about just violent assault?
It doesn't say that.
I can actually answer that one. Their violent assault rate has gone up consistently over the last 20 years. So, you know, and that's kind of consistent with what I've seen when I've traveled around. Places I've been where firearms were harder to get, people just switched over to clubs, knives, and car bombs.
See, they can't carry knives over there either.
Not with a point. I think they have to be rounded points or something.
You cannot have any type of pocket knife or carry knife over there at all.
I don't know.
Yeah, but they had it's next to impossible for them to crack down on that.
Yeah, Rich White also makes a point that I've made a few times, and that is the way they report their crime stats is very different than ours. So if someone shoots someone with a gun and they don't solve the crime, they don't report it as a gun shooting. It's just wacky.
So they only report convictions, in other words, like they don't report things that are unsolved or something?
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to share this. So I'm just doing the same thing. I'm just looking at Google or whatever. But I just went to images, violence in England, and you can find ones that look like it's declining. You can find ones that look like it's on the rise. You can find ones that look like it's trending. And I imagine it's because of that. All those signs we just talked about, right? If they're going to talk about all violence, or if they're going to talk about crime with a specific implement.
So they have a horrible time with just violent crime in general.
Well, and that's something that I think doesn't get brought up enough. And John Lott, the statistician, I guess, his approach is that when you remove the potential for resistance to violence, then violence has no barrier, right? What are they worried about? So they start to bully, and you get a lot of more violent stuff. There's no consequences. There's no resistance. So when they, for example, like this one, they're trying to do the universal background checks. I didn't want to get into it, but with universal background checks, they say, oh, it's no big deal. What's the big deal? Most of the time you got to go through a gun shop anyway and pass a background check. So big deal if it's every transfer. It's no big deal. They kept saying that it's no additional burden, and they the lady from Arizona kept appealing to them. Well, if you're in the midst of a domestic violence situation, which is a valid situation that people might find themselves in, and you aren't able to purchase a firearm, go through all that procedure, you're no longer legally able to have one lended to you for any length of time. It requires that it be imminent violence that you can be lent a firearm for. And then the opposite, if you're a situation where you don't feel like you're in the right state and you want to lend your friend your firearms because you don't feel that you're in a good state, that's no longer legal. So if you, whatever reasons, have some things on a time when there's not gun shops open, you're no longer legally able to just have your friend, not immediate family member, come over and take your pistol for the weekend or something. So that's the kind of stuff that they'll say it's no big deal, but they don't look at the consequences. And like this one, the reason I bring up stuff like this, even though it's England, it has nothing to do with us, is there's lots of consequences that we can see from this blind, good intention, safety garbage, and the consequences of it are that bad guys have little resistance and a little reason to fear the good guys anymore, especially a little old lady or really anybody that's that's vulnerable to a group of thugs.
Well, I mean, on that topic, I think Sean in the lobby chat earlier today made a valid point. Instead of legislating laws about how to restrict people's rights, instead they should work on focusing on laws that actually like incriminate punishment, so that way there's actual consequences for actions instead of making legal citizens criminals. You know, I think he was more or less on the right idea with that. But I don't care. I want everybody. If you're not inside a jail cell, I want you to have your rights to carry a gun. And if you don't deserve to have the rights to carry a gun, do I trust you outside of a jail cell? And people who commit violent crimes with guns, we should have harder consequences.
But there's structured sentencing, and yeah, they can't just keep people in there forever. That's the problem with that argument.
Well, I'm pro death penalty when somebody kills somebody else in cold blood.
But there's a lot of other violent felonies that don't rate the death penalty.
Right, but there's many more people that are in there on just drug charges and stuff like that. If they I hate to admit that I agree with Yankees little missive that he sent out a while back, that we fill our prisons up with these people that are low, non-violent felons, and then we say, well, we don't have room to put the people in that are really dangerous. Well, what the hell's wrong with that figure?
These drug offenses, there's very few that are in there for using. Most of them are in there for dealing. These people are very violent amongst the people they're selling to and against other people. They're very violent. Just because they don't get charged doesn't mean they're not out there wreaking havoc against other users and drug dealers.
Well, that's the other issue that we have, isn't it? That we have all these laws on the books, and in fact, Connecticut did a study. The Office of Legislative, whatever the hell it is, did a study in 2017, and basically it showed that roughly 65% of all firearms charges get nollied. The state's attorneys don't even charge them for the offenses, and the reason they don't charge them is because they require mandatory sentencing, and they use them to make deals. So what the hell's the sense of having all these laws on the books? And the real crazy thing is, if you're a criminal and they think you can turn you against somebody else, then they'll offer to nolly to charge to get you to roll. If you're a regular citizen and you happen to get caught in the trap, you're screwed. Because they won't make that offer because there's no advantage to them for that.
If you want to bring the criminal justice system to a stop, everyone asks for a trial. It will grind to a halt if they don't make those deals.
But I mean, therein lies the issue, right? Because violence is violence, regardless of how you commit it. And I think everyone in here will agree that none of these gun laws they're trying to pass is going to do a thing to change gun crime.
Agreed.
Okay. I think that the only way that they can approach this sensibly this is going to sound overly simplified, but it's carrot and stick. I think the penalty for committing a heinous crime needs to be severe enough that it distracts people from being willing to commit it in the first place. You're always going to have people who are going to commit it, but if you really want to put a dent in the number of people who are going to, you need to put a heavy enough burden in front of them for doing it. And people can argue which way that they think that's the right way to do that. Personally, I don't think life sentences and things like that are effective or good for anybody. I think that, when they get a guy in there I don't care if he killed his rival drug dealers, he still murdered 5 people. We don't have a need for him anymore.
I agree with that, but there's a lot of people that don't elevate to the level of murder that are still terribly, terribly dangerous. I mean, there's a lot of these crimes that don't get reported because it's criminal on criminal. They don't report it. They take care of their own thing.
I don't trust government to pick up both of my garbage cans every week consistently. And you're going to suggest a bureaucracy that's already manipulated in all different kinds of ways couldn't potentially be manipulated with that. So that's an awful lot of faith in us in a state. But that's a different topic than we need to get into tonight, I think. So where did we come from that? England in 1997, sons of bitches, making it awkward here in the United States.
So I found a chart too that's got intentional homicide rates, and it stops in 2016. But in England in 97, 1.24 people per 100,000 were intentionally murdered. In 2016, 1.22. So it's very, very close, but it's on the rise. So by now, it might even be more than it should be more if you go by the way it was the chart was increasing as it went. So there's probably more intentional homicides now than there were in 97 when they did the ban. Due to my Wikipedia research, which might be wrong, but.
Oh, we got.
That's on the fly.
All right. Well, yeah, well, I don't know where we can go with this one.
So does anybody have any like exciting gun news coming up for themselves locally that's not sad?
Oklahoma got concealed carry. Let's talk about that.
There we go. That's moving in the right direction.
They got constitutional carry.
Yeah, constitutional.
Even one step further.
Now, can they conceal carry without a permit now or no?
I think that's what I should. What did I say? They got constitutional carry. What did I say?
That's a good point. Does that mean concealed or open?
Constitutional carry means that you can carry any way you want as long as you can own a firearm. You can carry it any way you want.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
That's actually not how all the states implement it, though.
No,
Some of the states implement constitutional carry where you have to carry exposed.
Oh no, hold on. There's 2 states.
And you need a permit in order to conceal carry.
No, there's 2 states that I'm aware of that are weird. For everybody else has regular constitutional carry, which like I described. But yeah, one of them is like Montana, and that's where you can only constitutional carry outside the cities or something, and you can't constitutional carry if you're not a resident. And then I think the other one is like what Cycle just said, but I can't remember which state that was. But I'd be surprised if there's more than 3 that have that weird caveats to it, because almost everybody else is concealed, is just straight out concealed. So that means if you visit Oklahoma, assuming it's, I don't know, where's Snob at? Or somebody from Oklahoma. Well, yeah. I mean, where's he at to give us some input? If it's true constitutional, then that means when you visit Oklahoma, no matter your status, where you come from, if you're legal to own a firearm, then you're legal to carry any way you want. At least that's what it's like in Arizona. You visit Arizona, you carry a gun however you want.
The weird thing about it is Oklahoma, for at least the last couple of years since Kansas got constitutional carry, and they have a reciprocal agreement. So the way it turned out is people from out of state had more rights than the people who actually were Oklahoma residents. That's what really sucked. When I would go down for Wanamaker, for example, I could conceal carry, but Oklahoma residents couldn't.
Is that because you had a permit, or because
I have a permit from the state of Kansas and they recognize Kansas permits? So
yeah, they'll recognize a state's permit, but they didn't. But that you had exactly the same rights as their permit holders. Is that what you're saying? But not their average citizens.
I guess that's true. I can't really say that I know what their laws were, but I know that's what Snob told me. He said He said, "You got more rights than I do in the state of Oklahoma."
All right, so we're going back to Wikipedia, which knows everything about the internet, everything. And we got the 15 states that already had it. And we've got Idaho, residents only. North Dakota, residents only and concealed carry only. And then Wyoming, residents only. You've got a couple of states that are weird. Montana is outside city limits. Illinois, I don't know how this one works. Unloaded and fully enclosed weapon and loaded magazine. I don't know where that one comes from. New Mexico, unloaded and loaded magazine, vehicle carry, and then Oklahoma is, I think, which Gary was talking about there. But they probably just haven't updated Wikipedia yet. All right, well, I'm going to say goodbye to Instagram because my battery's about to die on the phone.
Bye, Instagram.
Oh, my heater just died. All right, so I guess we're ending the show. So a lot of dead air here, but we've had some conversation about some different things, and we talked a little bit about good idea, bad idea, kind of. If anybody has ideas for good idea, bad idea, though, in the future, feel free to email them, dailygunshow@gmail.com, and we'll include them on Wednesdays. And I guess we could go over here and do this. Scroll down a little ways. I gotta scroll that even further now. And then let's put Sarge on the spot. You pick one of the other panelists to face the consequences of the next question.
You put me on the spot. What?
You have to pick one of the other panelists to be even more on the spot. To be even more on the spot.
Well, I know who I'm picking. I'm picking Midnight Range.
All right. So Midnight Range needs to pick one of these patch panels. That'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one of them is 5. So what the hell? I thought there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Like that.
4.
So this one here, and then why don't we go with either side out here? What did we start the show with today? $42? No. Anybody remember in here? You can't say it, but do you remember?
I remember.
Got one person remembers. Nothing on the YouTube side. Might as well be dead air over there. Silence. No guesses on
Shoot, I can't handle it. Oh, damn it. I don't remember.
Still nothing, huh?
Nothing.
Nope, not hearing anything on this side.
This is when the countdown clock would happen.
Nothing on the gun channel side.
There we go. I don't know if he listened. Or if he went back. And we should be saying something. Or else we're going to get copyrighted strike. We're already copyrighted strike, I'm sure. What the hell? There we go. And I'm sure already copyright strike. I had the mute off, yeah. So yeah, we're going to the world. So Pants is going to be picking. Am I still screen sharing? Pants will be picking something off of this patch panel. I guess one of y'all have to tell me what Pants picks. One of the panel, please tell me which patch Pants picks.
I'm looking.
Yep.
Would the panel please tell me which patch
Yep.
His picks, please.
He hasn't picked. Yeah, he hasn't picked
Pick one
yet.
yet.
I'll have patience to find out what Pants picks from the panel.
Pants fell asleep. He's
Yeah,
changing his pants.
Does he know he won?
I don't know. He hasn't said anything since REM.
Michael, do you listen to REM ever? Yes or no?
Oh yeah.
Gary,
Oh yeah.
pancakes,
Nope, don't really like him.
dog.
I listen to him from time to time. Can we lock the screen on you? He says he can't see because we keep talking.
Oh, that probably helps. Sarge,
No,
listen to REM.
and they're okay.
I heard them the other day on the radio when I was driving around, and I was like, "Oh snap! I've been listening to them forever." I went back to try to listen to some songs, and I don't like that many songs that I used to like. So this is a bunch of patch panels that we put together from patches that we either accumulated, going to SHOT Show or different places, and going on the Gun Show Loophole Tour. We found some of these at gun shows and gun shops along the way. We traded some of them. Some of them are given to us. So kind of made 5 different patch panels, and we do the tactical quiz like this once in a while, when I remember. Has Pants picked a panel from the patch panel?
He hasn't typed anything yet.
He says Dead Air Red Star patch.
Oh, that's an easy one. So I will ask Pants to email me or something, somehow let me know that I'm supposed to send them that so I remember. And we got Gary and Cycle both have one, but I'm cheap, so I'm waiting until I have something else to send you so I don't waste $3 sending a patch for them. If you want it sooner, let me know. Well, that's the tactical quiz. We try to do that when I remember to do it. And I'm going to try to figure out Patreon again as far as those, like, what do they call those things? There's something they call them on the beginning on that front page. You've set, like, number goals or something, like, what do they call them over there? I forget the
Project goals?
Yeah, they have like levels though or something. So you can set like, if I'm making this much a month, we can do this, and with this much a month, we can do that. So I'm gonna try to try to figure out how much it would take to put how much time it would take to put the tactical quiz out there. I really want to do a tactical quiz on Saturdays. I think it'd be cool to have a gun-related quiz show. There's certainly lots of people out there that are creative and could participate. So I'm going to keep it kicking, even though it's not like I'm looking for new projects that throw out there. That's one that's always been dragging around, and I think it'd be neat to see a gun-related game show. So with that, thanks to everybody for joining tonight. It was kind of a sloppy one, but again, I'll be great. Hopefully it was an alternative from some of the depressing stuff. We did get a big black eye today, but whatever. That's how you fight. You just keep getting up and persevering. So well, thanks for jumping in. You guys have something going on this weekend?
I'm just working.
Well, no, I was asking Cycle, but anyway, Gary, you got Foul Territory coming up on Friday?
Foul Territory on Friday, and I do believe Saturday is Every Second Matters.
Oh shit! Is it already Second Matters already?
Yep.
Holy crap! Well, let's see what we can get going for that. And thanks for the heads up. I wasn't even thinking. Midnight, you got show on Sunday. Anything else coming up?
No, nothing other than that. We've got a gun show coming up next weekend now, so maybe I'll be able to get some video or see some cool guns there. Maybe able to post some stuff. Maybe.
Right on. And Dog said he's just working. Sarge, you got a Thursday show this week?
Yeah, we're going to be on. It's going to be tonight here, tomorrow night where you're at, Thursday night at 9 p.m. East. And if I can get to 1,700 subs, I'm 15 away. If I can get to 1,700 subs by the show, I'm going to give away some more SHOT Show during the show. And if not, I'm going to make a giveaway video for the next week. So I'd like to give it away tomorrow night if I can get 15 tonight. So that's it.
Right on. Patriot didn't jump in, but he's still got his EDC challenge going, I believe. Tomorrow, the night will be Thursday, so Clover will do his show. Who else does a show tomorrow? Does Budget still do a show on Thursday? No, his is Friday.
Doesn't Matt have the Liberty podcast tomorrow?
No, he does that with Yankees, I think. I thought there's another Thursday show that I'm missing. I'm missing a Thursday show. But Pants is saying that he just got a dead air can out of NFA jail, so that works out pretty good. I've actually got quite a few different or dead air logo patches that Mike sent me, so I can send you a couple of them.
Looks like it's failure to appear.
Oh, I thought that was Cycle listening to his ham radio, and I think it's somebody else listening to a radio.
Not me. I was muted.
So, yeah, exactly. So with that, I think we'll end it. Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening.